So morning all, test ride on this Titan for our customer Dan, and currently 7573 on the clock. Came in with a cutting out issue and a little bit of a noise from the back. Now it's done 7,500 kilometers and we have changed the drive belt and rollers. Now the customer's issue was when he pulls up after hard riding, if you leave it for more than a couple of minutes, it is cutting out on him. So what I'm going to be doing, it's already had one ride test yesterday, out for another one today. What we're going to do, we're going to ride this one hard as the same as we did the last Titan, and give it an absolute hammering. Obviously with 7.5k on the clock, we can ride this to full speed. Now our customer's doing an average about 15-20 miles a day, and question comes up, is it being ridden a little bit hard, or is it just getting a little bit hot? And obviously when an air-cooled engine gets a little bit hot, you have issues. So we're going to do a load of hard test mileage, get it up to full speed, and we're going to run this for about 10 miles. So nice long ride this morning. Might have to edit this video in and out, in and out, in and out, but if we do get any issues, we're going to leave it in the video. It is decidedly freezing again this morning. It was a lovely sunny day yesterday. It's going to be nice and sunny today, but the wind chill factor first thing in the morning is absolutely horrible. It's currently telling me -2 on the wind chill factor. Thank God for good biker gear. So running at 50 miles an hour. And just a case of up and down the dual carriageway half a dozen times, and I'm going to pull in once I've got the engine nice and hot, and we're just going to sit there for about a minute or so and just see if it does cut out on me. It didn't yesterday, but as I said to the customer, I'm going to ride this to the absolute max, see if I can get it really hot, see if I can get any issues. I'm going to try up and down here a couple of times, and I'm going to run it down the big long dual carriageway in Milton Keynes, just to see if I can just sit it at 50-55 for quite a while, see what happens. Now obviously it cuts out on him, but then he can restart it, so it's not as if it's just stopping dead and not restarting. So he's just saying it's having cutting out issues. It might be a little bit silent in places. I'm just keeping my eye on the speedo, etc, etc. But we're literally going to go to full throttle every time we pull away. Max the throttle out and see what we can do. That is sitting at 60 now. Keeping up with the flow of traffic. And we're going to head for the dual carriageway. Switch lanes. But drive belt and rollers feels a lot better. The original rollers were absolutely massacred. Drive belt was getting worn, so we've changed both up, and we've got 14 gram rollers in this one. And obviously you've got quite a few choices. You want to make the bike go a bit faster, lighten up the rollers. You want to sort of obviously get a bit of longevity, put a heavier roller weight in, but it will sort of drop your speed down. And on the Titans they do choice of 4s. So you've got 13s, 14s, 15s and 16s. We've gone for the 14s on this, which is the standard what Lexmoto suggests to go with. According to the guys at Technical, I asked them what rollers I should go with, and they said put 14s, you'd be better with 14s. A little bit more top end, and they're still good for quite a while. But obviously if you're starting to get issues on any of your Titans, if you've done the mileage that this one has done, then obviously it's time for a drive belt and roller change. Quick lane split here and across onto the dual carriageway. So 4k in, so 7573, 4k in, and full speed run, full throttle down the dual carriageway, see what happens. So sitting there, and we're at 60 mile an hour. Now these Titans are normally good for about 60-65. Once they've been running, get my full speed running. Ride test yesterday, absolutely nothing. Not a thing. So longer run today. And the bike is still pulling. I've still got a little bit more extra throttle there, so I'm about 3/4 now on the throttle. But I've got a little bit of extra power there should I need it. I'm sitting around 60, just going to quick lane shift again. I'm going to come back down the other side of the dual carriageway. And pull at the traffic lights and just see if she cuts out when she's on tick over and stood. So leaving it on idle. Still idling lovely. That's handy. Green lights against me. And pulling in on tick over again. What we're going to do next, another high speed run, full length. That's going to be 1.5 miles on this one. Another full speed run at 60, and then we're going to pull into the lay-by just up here. I'm going to wait a couple of minutes and just see what happens. Right, 50, 55 and 60. I've still got loads of throttle on there. I'm just going to push it a little bit harder this time. 62. Throttle is maxed out, and we are at 65. And if I'm doing 65, how fast's that car going then? So maxed out at 65 mile an hour. So now you know what the top speed of a Titan is. still bang on 65. Still at 65, and that's with a headwind against me. The headwind's pushing me back quite a bit, but still about 63, 65 at full throttle, and that is going to make that engine work to its maximum capacity, full throttle. And lay-by coming up, and we're going to pop in here. So visor up, and we are going to sit here for 2 minutes. While we're doing that, get on the phone and cancel my 7 o'clock alarm. So 7 AM currently. Bright early morning, weather conditions cold but dry. And 7:583 on the clock, so we've done 10k so far. But the bike is sitting there idling absolutely perfectly. So we're going to sit and wait a while. That is still idling as it should. It's not hunting, it's just sitting there ticking over. Not a thing. Okay, we're going to move again. And one more high-speed run. Oh, this should be fun, getting out into traffic on this dual carriageway. It is clear, we are off. I'm just going to try something different. I'm going to pull it down hard and just see if she sits there and idles again. Still nothing. I'm just try a few different little tricks this morning, just a nice slow acceleration round the roundabout, see if that makes any difference. So just minimal throttle, just idling the scooter. Nice and steady and pulling in on tick over. And then just let her idle in again. Idling again, sitting comfortably on tick over. And we're off again. Another high speed run from the ramp, max the throttle out. Once again 65 mile an hour. Idling again. I'm going to pull in a second, have a 2-minute wait, see what the bike does. I'm going to pull in here. And we're going to sit again and let the bike idle. So currently 7587 on the clocks, 14k in. The bike is still idling fine, it's not hunting still, no issues at all. I'll give it a few more seconds. and nothing. So back out into traffic we go again. One more run down the dual carriageway and then back to the garage. This is ride test number 2. And 15k is going to be covered, which is roughly just over 10 miles. No issues found. So what we would normally do on something like that is obviously contact the customer, let them know that nothing has been found, and get them then to do what is called a drive cycle, which would normally be over the case of 3 to 5 days, and just monitor what the vehicle does. Take it down to the customer now to finish the road testing. But as I say, with intermittent problems, it can't always be replicated. The customer could say, oh, I've got this noise that appears, or I've got this happens with the engine. We have it, and we have it 3 or 4 days, and we can't replicate it, and yet the customer will have it back within a couple of days. It's doing it again. So all down to the customers to do a ride cycle or a drive cycle if it's a car. And then we would start looking at, is the customer riding the bike correctly? Is it just human error? Obviously, is it being run flat out? Is it getting too hot? Is the engine getting too hot? With an air-cooled engine, if you do get them too hot, you do start to get fueling problems, because obviously the engine is so hot it can't get the fuel in. And then you do get certain issues on, you get the same with the water-cooled bikes as well. As we did say to the customer yesterday, it might be the case that he just needs to ease off the speed and just ride it a little bit slower, but obviously we don't know how fast the customer is going on this. So he might be taking it easy, he might not. We never assume, promise or guarantee, and that is our motto. But so far, with me riding it, I have found nothing at all. Taking it out the box, full throttle. I'm going to do final run down the other side of the dual carriageway, back up to 60, get her back to the garage, and I'm just going to sit her on the forecourt for a few. And then that will conclude ride test number 2 for the customer. Obviously this is quite a long video, but we've kept everything in. It's not stopped the camera at all. Normally if we were doing a test ride for a new bike and it was a bit of a boring one, we'd cut it down. For the purposes of this video, we're keeping everything in it. And this is obviously for the customer to see. And the final switch of lanes. Back up again at 60 mile an hour, final run. and nice and steady, little bit of urban mileage. My favourite bit of road, obviously run the bike over a few bumps and potholes and see if it affects it. Just easing it back into tick over, still nothing. I'm going to pull onto the yard. And we're going to sit here for a couple of minutes. Right, so what we're going to do now, pop the bike onto its stand, and we're just going to leave that there for a couple of minutes just to make sure it idles correctly. But it has had new drive belt and rollers, and just see what happens. That is idling just over 1,000 RPM on this. Absolutely nothing. So all is good. So it's ride test number 2 concluded, and just to restart it back up from start just to see if it does. Starts on the button every time. Kill switch. Works every time. Side stand switch. Kill the bike, put the side stand up, start the bike again, and fires up every time and is idling correctly. So final test ride mileage 7592 on this now. So it's had nearly 20k put on it, and happy with that, and give the customer a call.